those who have not met the Petronzio triplets, allow them to introduce themselves.
Daddy! Caroline! Sophie!
The picture of cuteness, energy, and health, the girls along with little sister Lulu are, well, what all little girls are made of: sugar, spice, everything nice, with a touch of that princess factor. But their journey here was far from a fairy tale. We'll take you back to 2006.
From the minute they came out, they fought hard, and they continue to fight us hard.
Matt and Stacy Petronzio conceived via in vitro while living in Atlanta.
We were, having an ultrasound. The ultrasound tech looked at us and just deadpan said, "You've got 3." And I started crying, and it was not tears of joy.
But the way she did it was hilarious, because she was staring at the screen. We were over here, and she just looked at us like this. "You got 3." We said, "3 what?" I mean, at that point, yeah, but it was a shock.
Everything started out normal, but a routine appointment at 20 weeks turned the pregnancy into something to be concerned about.
So they put me on a monitor, and they said, "Do you feel that?" "Yeah, that's the stretching I was talking about." And they said, "That's a contraction." And so I was actually in preterm labor at 20 weeks.
Stacy was immediately put on bed rest and given medication to stop the labor.
At 20 weeks, you're pretty well invested. And so we were scared, but, we felt like, the medicine was working. And so now it was just, we just had a new perspective, and we need to make it to 30 weeks.
But just 7 weeks later, after getting permission to come off bed rest and attend her baby shower, there was another episode.
I came home that night from the baby shower feeling just awful, and he kept asking, what was wrong, because I just didn't feel like myself, but I thought I was tired. It was the first outing that I'd had. I woke up in the middle of the night and was having contractions. The medication that I'd been on had stopped working, so I sort of broke through that and actually started to go into labor.
It became decision time.
Sophie, baby A, who was getting 50% of the nutrition, was doing really well. She was thriving, but the other 2 were actually struggling. And so the decision was moving towards, as Stacy said, they will actually do better outside, because then we can give them individual attention. And but we were still hoping to keep them in there as long as possible, because at that point every hour matters.
Well, we also really had to go through the thought process of, if the one who has the best chance for survival is doing better in utero, do you keep her there and just see how the other 2 do, or do you deliver? You can't deliver. You deliver all 3 or none.
Doctors told the Petronzios to be prepared because the girls could face death, blindness, and cerebral palsy if delivered in the next few days, a move that seemed inevitable as Stacy faced obstacles of her own with a life-threatening condition called HELP syndrome, similar to preeclampsia.
So now I had 4 people to worry about instead of just 3. But Stacy was on incredibly powerful drugs to stop the contractions, and so the goal was really just to do anything we could to keep them in there.
But with her own health now at risk, Stacy had no choice.
The doctor came in and said, "Okay, we got the lab results. You have 10 minutes. You're going into surgery. We're going to take the babies now." And so
the girls were delivered via C-section, and they began a 4-month fight in the NICU that included battles with respirators, staph infections, force feeding, bleeding, and bowel surgery.
None of them was able to breathe on their own, and each required really special care. And at the very beginning, so they were all intubated, they were all on respirators, and one thing we learned from the neonatologist is that there tends to be a honeymoon period, and so all the babies came out and they were doing okay. They, obviously they were being aided to survive, but they, were sort of stable, and that for the first couple of hours, days, they would be sort of stable and that we'd have to just kind of watch closely. And then, as I think anyone that has had a kid in the NICU will tell you, it's just kind of a roller coaster ride. You know, the babies, we were told something, it's pretty funny, that they survive in spite of us, not because of us. And the doctors and the nurses and the respiratory therapists are just amazing. They're saints. And they just do whatever they can to help those kids along. They, you know, our children are the beneficiaries of a lot of other sick children.
You have to believe these sweet spirits come from being fighters.
With ours, Sophie is the one that we've talked about. She was kind of the strongest from the beginning. She was the biggest, and she is really the alpha child. A lot of times she kind of acts like she's the older sister of her, which she is. She's older by about 30 seconds than developmentally. You know, well, they're 3 months behind, but she has been on par or, you know, at the top of her peer group, I would say, for her chronological age, not her adjusted age. And so she just has done incredibly well.
You know, when Caroline was going through the neck, we got the, you know, dreaded, you know, 3 a.m. call from the NICU, and indicating that, you know, she wasn't thriving and she wasn't doing well, and they had to take her off the respirator. And so, you know, we came really close to losing Caroline.
Manually.
Yeah, they had to bag her.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was really, really scary.
We laugh now, though, because she's possibly the most determined child I've ever, not just of mine, but, you know, she's very, very strong-willed. And so we know now that she was given that trait so that she would survive that. And then Gabby, and she was this way, too, from the beginning. She is the charmer. I mean, she wants everyone to be happy. She is generally a very happy girl. And she was the one in the hospital who I felt like the nurses and doctors were always commenting on how, you know, she was really smiling before babies can really smile. So, I mean, even just kind of she has had a gleam in her eye from day one. And so, now I'm going to get emotional. But
they're all fighters.
Now, with little sister Lulu in the mix, there's no stopping these girls, and there's no stopping the family's support in the March of Dimes.
I truly believe without the March of Dimes, the things that has supported our girls would not be here. Because from the perinatal care, the surfactant, which, I mean, that's probably the biggest thing, is for babies born at 27 weeks, before surfactant, the mortality rate was 95%. So that means 5% are surviving. And we did, you know, make 3% odds one time, but I don't think it would have happened again. And so that absolutely saved their lives.
The mortality rate flip-flopped.
Right.
To almost all babies surviving.
Yeah.
The surfactant just gives them a chance. And that chance is what our girls needed.